Actress Allison Mack, who played a key role in the superhero television series Smallville for more than a decade, was sentenced to 3 years in prison Wednesday over her role in Nxivm, a group former members say was abusive and cult-like. In April 2019, Mack was convicted on racketeering charges and was out under house arrest on $5 million bail. This week, she wrote a letter apologizing to victims. "I am sorry to those of you that I brought into Nxivm," Mack wrote. "I am sorry I ever exposed you to the nefarious and emotionally abusive schemes of a twisted man," adding it was her biggest mistake and greatest regret. Mack's lawyers requested she spend no time in prison in a court filing this week, arguing she is already on a promising path of rehabilitation, and turned over important evidence on the Nxivm case over to prosecutors that helped them convict Raniere last year. Forbes first raised questions about Raniere's mysterious group in 2003. "I think it's a cult," Seagram billionaire Edgar Bronfman Sr., whose daughters Sara and Clare were devoted Nxivm members, told the magazine. He said Clare lent the organization a whopping $2 million, which Clare denied at the time. She was sentenced to almost 7 years in prison last year over her role in the group. Prosecutors say Nxivm could not have functioned as it did without access to her sizable fortune. Raniere's Nxivm described itself as a multi-level marketing group that offered self-help classes. But prosecutors say the organization had a secretive, all-female group that forced members adhere to strict diets, have sex with Raniere and were sometimes branded like cattle with Raniere's initials. Women were blackmailed into staying in the group with threats of releasing compromising information about them, including nude photographs, prosecutors said. Last year, Raniere was convicted of sex trafficking and sentenced to 120 years in prison. Nxivm cult leader Keith Raniere sentenced to 120 years in prison. Forbes, Clare Bronfman sentenced to nearly 7 years in prison for role in Nxivm. Forbes, from Heiress To Felon. How Clare Bronfman wound up in cult-like group Nxivm. Forbes, cult of personality, Forbes.